Good evening, Cleveland and Columbus sports fans. This is Jen B, and you're tuned in live to the show of the land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tonight, we are going to talk about the Browns. We're not going to talk too much about that game in Cincinnati because that was just awful. But we'll talk about it a little bit. And we're going to talk about the upcoming playoff run. The Browns will be playing the Houston Texans in Houston on Saturday. And then we will also talk about some roster updates for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And we will finish out the football and football with some crew updates. And the Crunch started their season. Then we will move on to some basketball with the Cavs, the Charge, and some college basketball. We will then talk about some hockey with the Blue Jackets and the Monsters. And we'll wrap things up with some Guardians news and some miscellaneous college updates for some sports that aren't football or basketball. So stay tuned for all of that. But before we get started on all of that, let's give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Planet Jerky. Be sure to check them out at Planet Jerky on Instagram and planetjerky.net. You can order straight from the website. They have about 7 flavors to choose from. And it is premium beef brisket jerky. You don't want to miss out. Place your orders today. And if you spend $50 or more, you will get free shipping. So be sure to hop on Planet Jerky and get you some jerky that is out of this world. And also, be sure to check out IE Sports Radio on all of the socials at IE Sports Radio on Instagram, X, Threads, Facebook, TikTok, all of them. Check it out. And then also be sure to check out our website, iesportsradio.com, for all of the latest sports news. You can get bios on all of the hosts, the show schedules, fan of the month, our Hall of Fame, the blog. Be sure to check out the blog. Among other things, there's also a shop. You can get some IE Sports Radio apparel. So get on and check that stuff out. Now, on to the Cleveland Browns. Shout out to Taryn, Mike, Pat, Larry B in the chat. Taryn says, how are we feeling about Sunday's game? I'm feeling pretty good. We already beat the Texans once. Of course, they didn't have CJ Stroud when we played them, but I don't know that it's going to make that much of a difference. So we'll see. I root for CJ when he's not playing my Browns, but he will be playing my Browns this time. So not rooting for him. Not rooting for him at all. But I'm feeling pretty good about the game on Saturday. Actually, we play on Saturday, Taryn. The Browns are the very first game of Super Wild Card Weekend. So, this past week, the Browns assigned guard Roger Saffold to the practice squad. He is a Cleveland native and grew up a Browns fan. He was actually at the game that is now dubbed Bottlegate. So he was a huge Browns fan growing up, so this is like a dream come true for him. And so happy to have him, some more O-line depth for the playoffs. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully our starters will be playing, so we won't have to worry about it. But we'll see. Jeff Driscoll got the start at quarterback against the Bengals, and P.J. Walker was QB2. we'll get into how that went in a little bit, but it wasn't good. But anyway, the Browns are the first team since the 1984 Bears to start 5 different quarterbacks and make the playoffs. They were only the 6th team in NFL history to start 5 different quarterbacks, and 3 of these teams were during the 1987 strike. So, strike aside, there have only been 3 teams that have started 5 different quarterbacks. Our Pro Bowlers for the Cleveland Browns, Myles Garrett, Joe Bitonio, and Amari Cooper are starters. David Njoku and Denzel Ward also made it. And then we have 6 alternates: Corey Bojorquez, Dustin Hopkins, Grant Delpit, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Ethan Posick, and Wyatt Teller. So, almost the entire offensive line. Pretty impressive. The local chapter of Pro Football Writers of America unanimously awarded Myles Garrett Player of the Year, and they awarded Joe Bitonio the Good Guy Award. Anthony Walker was placed on IR, and Sam Kamara was signed back to the active roster. Juan Thornhill, Amari Cooper, Mike Ford Jr., Dustin Hopkins, Greg Newsome, and Myles Garrett were all ruled out for the Bengals game. Everybody else dressed, but very few of the starters played. Safety Vincent Gray and kicker Riley Patterson were elevated from the practice squad. Obo Okoronkwo made his return from his pectoral tear. He didn't play much, but he did play some. He wanted to get some playing time in with the harness that he has to wear to protect his torn muscle. So he did get a little bit of playing time to give that a go, so he's good to go for the playoffs. Elijah Moore was also active for the game. I saw something that said that he played. I didn't see him on the field at all when I was watching, but I might have missed it. Who knows? But anyway, he was active, though. The game started with Jeff Driscoll throwing an interception on the first drive, and then D'Anthony Bell turned around and intercepted Jake Browning. So, no harm, no foul. Then Joe Mixon had a touchdown run. Then Joe Mixon had a receiving touchdown. And then Cincinnati got another touchdown. So it was 21-0. Then Jeff Driscoll threw another interception. Then the Bengals kicked a field goal, and the Browns were down 24-0 at the half. Isaiah McGuire recorded his first career sack. Alex Wright had his 5th sack of the season. Cincinnati scored another touchdown. It was 31-0. David Bell ended up with 2 touchdown receptions in the 4th quarter, bringing the final score to 31-14 loss. So the Browns finished the season at 11-6. They are, like I said earlier, headed to Houston to face the Texans on Saturday at 4:30. Cedric Tillman is in concussion protocol. Pierre Strong left the game with a back injury, and he is, as of today, still on the injury report. Shelby Harris left with a shin injury. He returned to practice today. Tony Fields left with an injury as well. I haven't heard any updates, so either they just aren't giving an update yet, or he's fine. Kevin Stefanski said today that Dustin Hopkins is unlikely to go on Saturday, so most likely it will be Riley Patterson, and Grant Delpit could be activated off of IR this week. So that will give us a little bit more depth in the backfield, defensive backfield. So that would be awesome to have Grant Delpit back. Ralph Calise in the chat, the host of our The Yinzer Report show for everything Pittsburgh sport, or all that is Pittsburgh sports, says the AFC North, strong. Yes. 3 teams from the AFC North made the playoffs. The number 1 seed, the number 4 seed, and the number 7 seed. So the Baltimore Ravens are number 5. The Browns are number 5, and the Steelers are number 7. So not bad for the AFC North. And all 4 teams in the AFC North finished with records above 500. So that's pretty awesome too. College football have some returning players and some declared to the draft and some transfer portal recruits for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Tyleik Williams is returning for a 4th year. Jack Sawyer will also be staying. Matt Jones has declared for the draft. New recruit Jeremiah Smith was named All-American Bowl Player of the Year. Former Ohio State offensive tackle Chris Ward is being inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame, so congratulations to him. Ty Hamilton has announced that he will also be returning, and from the transfer portal, Ohio State added running back Keyshawn Judkins and quarterback Will Howard. So welcome to the team to those 2. The Crew had 3 players called up to the U.S. men's team: Aiden Morris, Patrick Schulte, and Sean Zawadski. And then the Crunch started their season this past week, and they lost the season opener 6-2 to Grand Rapids FC. Admir Soljovic and David Jordan had the 2 goals for the Crunch, and their next game will be January 27th versus Lima, Ohio Extreme. So that is going to wrap things up for all things football and football. Looking forward to the Texans game. The Browns sound like they're getting ready, and they're looking forward to this playoff run. Joe Flacco is all about the positivity and making it as far as they can go and getting the guys pumped and showing them how it's the best way to handle being in the playoffs, since he has so much experience. And Joe Flacco is undefeated in the wild card round of the playoffs. So hopefully that will continue. And another note, Adam Rank, who predicted that the Browns would go 6-11, so he was 100% wrong, got it completely backwards, has picked the Texans to win this game. So if all holds true to his previous predictions, the Browns should win. So, go Browns. But anyway, I am going to take a short break, and then I will be back to talk some basketball and Cavs in Paris. That's right, the Cavs are in Paris. So stay tuned in to the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Are you a fan of Buffalo sports? Are you thinking of changing loyalties and becoming a Buffalo sports fan? Do you even know where Buffalo is on the map? Did you know Canada is closer to Buffalo than New York City? Welcome to the Buffalo Huddle, every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Patty Bax. This is a podcast designed for you, the passionate sports fan. I know you love your sports. Who doesn't? I cover Buffalo sports and so much more by bringing in the human elements. I call it Buffalo Sports with a Twist. Join me as we take a journey into the world of Buffalo sports. I guarantee you'll fall in love with Buffalo just like I did. Each week we start with an inspiration, question of the day, a Buffalo fun fact, and our weekly challenge to you, the listener. Come huddle up with me every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time for the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. As we say in Buffalo, go Bills!
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
You're back live with Jen B on the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And a shout out to It's Drewski in the chat room. Says, have a great show. Thank you very much. So, the Cavs went 3-0 this past week. Well, that's right, 3-0. On Wednesday, they played Mike Pat's Washington Lizards. So, for more on the Washington Lizards and how they got that nickname, tune in to let's whine about DMV sports with Mike Pat. The starting five were Max Strus, Donovan Mitchell, Isaac Okoro, Dean Wade, and Jarrett Allen. At the end of the first quarter, the Cavs were up 34-31. At the end of the half, they were up 67-55. The end of the third quarter, they were up 101-75, and they ended up finishing things out with a win of 140-101, while Caris LeVert just kept shooting threes. And we have a little chat group for the podcasters, and I told Mike that I yelled at Caris LeVert to stop running the score up. Max Strus and Donovan Mitchell both led with 24 points each. Jarrett Allen had a double-double with 14 points and 19 rebounds. The Cavs and Ricky Rubio agreed on a contract buyout, and Rubio subsequently announced his retirement from the NBA, so we wish him all the best. Friday, the Cavs played the Lizards again, and the starting five were Max Strus, Donovan Mitchell, Isaac Okoro, Dean Wade, and Jarrett Allen. At the end of the first, they were up 36-26. At the end of the half, they were up 52-40. At the end of three, they were up 84-59, and they ended up winning 114-90. Donovan Mitchell led with 26 points, and Jarrett Allen had a double-double with 12 points and 12 rebounds. And Caris LeVert had a double-double with 11 points and 11 assists. On Sunday, the Cavs played the San Antonio Spurs. And I'm going to be honest, I watched more of that game than I did the Browns game because it was a little bit better than the Browns game. The starting five were Donovan Mitchell, Max Strus, Isaac Okoro, Dean Wade, and Jarrett Allen. At the end of the first quarter, they were down 32-28. At the end of the half, they were up 62-56. At the end of three, they were up 88-84, and they ended up winning 117-115. Jarrett Allen led with 29 points and also recorded a double-double with 16 rebounds. The Cavs' next games are Thursday against the New Jersey Nets, and that game will be held in Paris. The Cavs are already in Paris, getting ready for that game and adjusting to the time difference. And then Monday, they will be playing the Chicago Bulls. In college basketball, Ohio State played Wednesday against Rutgers and won 76-72. On Saturday, they were at Indiana and lost 71-65. Their next games are tomorrow against Wisconsin, number 15, Wisconsin. And Monday, they will be at Exeter. Because we don't say M's in Ohio. They will be playing that team up north. Kent State on Tuesday played Ball State and won 82-69. Saturday, they were at Eastern, team up north, and lost 71-69. Their next games are tonight against Toledo and Saturday at Central, that stayed up north. Akron played Tuesday at NIU and won 73-51. Friday, they played Bowling Green and won 83-67. And their next games are tonight at Ball State and Friday versus Buffalo. Youngstown played a Thursday against Northern Kentucky and lost 79-76, and Sunday against IUPUI and won 75-65. Their next games are Wednesday against Fort Wayne and Friday against Wright State. Cleveland State played Wright State on Thursday and lost 82-70. Sunday they played Northern Kentucky and won 88-85. And their next games are Friday at Milwaukee and Sunday at Green Bay. So they will be hanging out in Wisconsin. Then Mount Union played Baldwin Wallace and won 70-56. And then they were at Otterbein and won 79-69. Their next games are Wednesday at John Carroll and Saturday versus Heidelberg. So good luck to them. The Cleveland Charge played Tuesday against the Salt Lake City Stars and ended up losing 126-113. Sharif Cooper led with 28 points, and Isaiah Mobley had a double-double with 21 points and 11 rebounds. Saturday, they played the Santa Clara Warriors and won 116-104. Monty Bates led with 38 points, and Pete Nance had a double-double with 21 points and 10 rebounds. Their next games are Wednesday versus the Indiana Mad Ants, Saturday versus the Texas Legends, and Monday at the Westchester Knicks. So good luck to them. And voting is now open for the All-Star games for both the Charge and the Cavs. So be sure to get on and get your votes in for our Cleveland basketball players. Donovan Mitchell is one of the leading vote getters for the guards in the Eastern Conference. So get on and get your votes in. And that is going to wrap things up for basketball. So I am going to take another short break, and then I will be back to talk hockey, baseball, and more. So stay tuned in to the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey yo, what's up? It's your man Bishop, the voice of This Is KC Sports, the show where we go over the Chiefs, the Royals, KC Current, Sporting KC, MU, and oh yeah, if we got time, we'll even throw in some of that KU stuff for my people on the 913 South. Come and hang out with us every Sunday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey, Cleveland and Columbus sports fans, this is Jen B., host of the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in live to the Show of the Land on Tuesdays, where we will cover the Cleveland Browns, Cavs, Guardians, and Monsters. We will also talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets, Crew, Fury, and of course, the Ohio State Buckeyes. We'll also cover other colleges in the area like Akron, Kent State, Cleveland State, Mount Union, John Carroll, Baldwin Wallace, Youngstown State, among others. So like I said, if you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in Tuesdays to the Show of the Land with Jen B. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Welcome to the 305, aka the Magic City, and this is Magic City Scoreboard. I'm your host, JB, and right here we're going to talk anything Miami. Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, Miami Hurricanes, Marlins, Panthers, Inter Miami, and even high school football. So join me once a week right here on Magic City Scoreboard on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed to all that is sports.
You're back live with Jen B on the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So let's talk some hockey. The Columbus Blue Jackets played the Boston Bruins on Tuesday, and at the end of the first period, it was 0-0. Then in the second period, the Bruins got a goal, and then Kent Johnson tied it up. Then the Bruins got a goal on a power play, and at the end of 2, the Blue Jackets were down 2-1. And then in the third, the Bruins scored 2 more goals, and the final was 4-1. Another loss. Adam Boqvist returned from injury, and Jake Christensen was reassigned to the Monsters. Thursday, the Blue Jackets played the Philadelphia Flyers. The Flyers scored first, and at the end of the first period, the Blue Jackets were down 1-0. At the end of the second period, they were still down 1-0. Then the Flyers got another goal, and then Jake Bean and Damon Severson got goals for the Blue Jackets to tie things up, and it was 2-2 at the end of 3. They went into overtime, and it was still 2-2, so they went to a shootout. Johnny Gaudreau scored the winning goal, and the Blue Jackets won 3-2. Saturday, they played the Minnesota Wild. Cole Sillinger had the first goal. Then the Wild tied it up on a power play, and it was tied 1-1 at the end of 1. Then Cole Sillinger got another goal, and then the Wild got another goal on another power play. And at the end of 2, it was tied at 2. Cole Sillinger got another goal on a power play for a hat trick, his second career hat trick. Then the Wild tied it up, and it was 3-3 at the end of 3. Unfortunately, the Wild won in overtime 4-3. The Blue Jackets' next games are tonight at the Winnipeg Jets, Saturday against the Seattle Kraken, and Monday against the Vancouver Canucks. The Monsters played on Wednesday at the Toronto Marlies, and they ended up winning 2-1. Carson Meyer and Jake Gaudet scored the goals for the Monsters. On Friday, they played the Rochester Americans. The Americans scored first, and it was 1-0. Then Owen Sillinger got a goal on a power play. And at the end of one, it was 1-1. Then the Americans scored 2 goals in the second, and they were down 3-1 at the end of 2, and they ended up losing 3-1. Saturday, they again played the Rochester Americans, and the Monsters scored 3 goals in the first period, and the Americans scored 1. They were up 3-1 at the end of 1. In the second period, the Americans had 3 goals, and the Monsters had 2. So the Monsters were up 5-4 at the end of 2. The Americans tied it up in the third, and it was 5-5 at the end of 3 and went into overtime, and the Monsters ended up getting the win in overtime. Their next games are Friday at the Utica Comets and Saturday at the Syracuse Crunch. Oops. Then for the Guardians, I guess they weren't the Guardians when he played for them. So, longtime Indians outfielder Michael Brantley announced his retirement after a 15-year career. So, congratulations to him. And some miscellaneous notes. Ohio State's women's volleyball team got Ella Robel from Wisconsin. She was academic All Big Ten last year and ranked 11 out of high school. And OSU women's volleyball's Emily Landot was named CSC Academic All-American second team. OSU's men's volleyball team beat St. Francis of Pennsylvania 3-1 yesterday, and the Buckeyes are ranked number 5 in the nation, and they will play number 17 ranked UC San Diego this coming Saturday. So, congratulations to Ohio State men's volleyball. And good luck on Saturday against UC San Diego. This information comes from Taryn Rodriguez, host of our Set Point Volleyball Show. So be sure to check him out on Set Point for all you need to know about volleyball. And that is pretty much all I have. But we're going to talk a little bit more about the Browns. So the Browns will be playing the Texans in Houston on Saturday. At some point on Saturday, I'm not sure what time yet. We're still working out the details. J-Man, the host of our Spaced Out sports show, the Houston show, and I are going to be doing a little short show for like a pregame. Shout out to Patty Bax, who just jumped into the chat. Thanks for joining, Patty. And so keep an eye out for that. Watch for updates on X. We will put out an announcement for the time of that little blurb of a show. It'll probably be about, 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30. Just a little bit of banter back and forth about how we feel our teams are going to do against each other in the playoff game on Saturday. And like I said, that game will be Saturday at 4:30. The number 5 Browns against the number 4 Texans. The Browns are favored in that game. The last line I saw was they were favored by 2.5. So we will see if that stands, especially with the announcement that Dustin Hopkins will probably not be playing. But I expect that the Browns will fare pretty well. But, as J-Man says, to the final whistle. So we'll see. But I am a little worried about C.J. Stroud. I'm not going to lie. But I mean, the Browns beat the Ravens, so if they can beat Lamar Jackson, I think they can handle C.J. Stroud. So we'll see. And, I mean, well, we didn't beat the Ravens with a backup quarterback. That was Deshaun Watson's last game, so never mind. But we did beat them with Deshaun Watson. But we did have a lot of players, and we still don't. So they're all still on IR, and now there's another one, Anthony Walker. But maybe we'll get Grant Delpit back, so we'll see how that goes. The Cavs, like I said, are going to be playing in Paris on Thursday, so I'm interested to see how that game goes and how they do playing basketball in another country with the time difference and all of that, because jet lag is no fun, and I would not want to play a physical sport after traveling like that. I just wouldn't. It's no fun. I go to Chicago every once in a while for work, and it is exhausting. Like, I want to sleep for days when I get home, and that's only a 1 hour time difference. But, you know, they are much younger than I am. So, hopefully they will do well in that game against the Nets, and then they will be back in Cleveland to face the Bulls on Monday. So, good luck to all of our Cleveland and Columbus teams this week as they get their games on, and big, huge good luck and shout out to the Cleveland Browns on their second playoff berth in Kevin Stefanski's tenure as head coach. Speaking of which, Kevin Stefanski is, last I saw, leading for Coach of the Year. Myles Garrett is one of the top 3 for Defensive Player of the Year. And Joe Flacco is top 2 for Comeback Player of the Year. So we'll see how those awards end up playing out. Andrew Berry is also up for Executive of the Year. And then, of course, we have our 5 Pro Bowlers and 6 alternates. We'll see if any of those alternates get elevated. Hopefully, we'll be in the Super Bowl, and none of them will play, and it won't matter. We'll just have 11 Pro Bowlers that didn't go to the Pro Bowl. That would be awesome. You know, because we've never had a Super Bowl in Cleveland. Never. Never. No Super Bowl. Last championship for football was in 1964, before Super Bowls began. So, looking forward to that. We'll see if we can get past the Texans, who we will play next week. It will all depend on how the other 2 games play out, of course, because the Browns are the number 5 seed. So if the 2, 3, or 4 seed, well, the 4 seed will be losing. So if the Browns win, the 4 seed will lose to the Browns. If the 2 and or 3 seeds lose, the Browns could have a home field playoff game. So we'll see how it all plays out. If the Steelers beat Buffalo, then the Browns would be the 3 seed going into the divisional round. If Miami beats Kansas City and the Steelers beat Buffalo, then the Browns would be the 2 seed going into the divisional round. So they very well could have a home playoff game depending on how the games play out. I do think Buffalo will probably beat the Steelers, especially since it was just announced today that TJ Watt will not be playing. But us Browns fans can hope, can't we? I I mean, but if Miami beats Kansas City, we'd still be the 3 seed, so we still have possibly a home game eventually. Maybe. I mean, we could still, depending on who we end up playing, if we make it through the divisional round, who we play the following week, we could still get a home game, even if we don't get a home game the week after Super Wild Card weekend. But anywho, I'm dragging on. That is going to wrap things up. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot to talk about with things just kind of wrapping up, but we'll have a lot to talk about next week with the Browns playoff game and the Cavs playing in Paris and all that fun stuff. So we will get into that. But that is going to wrap things up for tonight. Thank you for joining me, Jen B, on the Show of the Land. Be sure to follow me on X, Instagram, and Threads at Believeland Girl, and on TikTok at Jen.Believeland, and that's JENN.Believeland. Also, follow the show for daily updates on Cleveland and Columbus sports on X at Show of the Land, IE. And like I said earlier, be sure to keep an eye on my X page and the show's page for an update on when that little mini show will be with Spaced Out Sports and J-Man. Next up is the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Backs with all that is Buffalo sports. Be sure to catch me next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern on the Show of the Land for more on Cleveland and Columbus sports right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a great night, Ohio. Go Browns!
What?